everybody. Welcome to the Outsource Advantage, the show where we help you understand how outsourcing can give you advantage in your business. I'm really excited for today's episode. I'm going to be featuring Chad Nading, the CEO of Warrior Outdoor LLC. Outdoor LLC, in a nutshell, is an Indian small business economic enterprise recognized by the Cherokee Nation. Warrior develops strategic partnerships between tribal partners, government agencies, and qualified businesses to really empower tribal communities across the U.S. Outside of his business, Chad grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, which I find is really neat, especially now he went to the polar opposite, which is Scottsdale, Arizona. But before his time with Warrior Outdoor, he was a part of the Oregon State Championship baseball team in 2007 for the College World Series, and then finished his bachelor's degree at University of Nevada. He also played professional baseball, but we'll have to talk about that towards the end. I'm really excited about the conversation today with you, Chad, so let's just jump right in.
I do have to fix one thing first. I did not go to the University of Nevada because that's a whole different creature we don't want to talk about. I went to UNLV in Las Vegas, so just to clear things up.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'll fire my producer after that, even though it was my fault.
No problem.
So, just jumping right in, for those of you who aren't familiar with Warrior Outdoor, tell us a little about the organization, why you founded it, kind of go into some detail there.
Yeah, so growing up in Alaska, my parents, my dad, and my uncle all ran a commercial real estate company, and they worked closely within the small business department of the Cherokee Nation. And over the time, I just kind of noticed, they had some good relationships and they got some good, practice between the two of them. So when I finished my baseball career in 2018, I kind of walked to my dad and said, what should I do? He said, I think you need to take a trip down to Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and talk to the small business department there at the tribal nation. And after a few conversations with them, they said, if you want to be an Indian small business and get Tarot certified, you have to go through X, Y, and Z. And I treated it like my baseball career and said, I only have so much time to do this. I want to get into the market as fast as I can because minor league baseball does not pay well. If you know anything about my baseball career, it was as up and down as it gets. So I knew getting into the business world wouldn't be any different. So, I established kind of a mindset of I want to be competitive. I want to stay in a sales atmosphere, but I also want to represent the Cherokee Nation wherever I go. So, getting suppliers and manufacturers around the world, around the country, I kind of explained to them, I'd love to represent your brand through an Indian small business. So I took that. I then found a friend from my past, from Anchorage, Alaska, same high school, who ended up being my wife. And she is now the president and head of all things here at Warrior Outdoor, but I am easily can tell you she's smarter than me. Her background is global supply chain and logistics with ConocoPhillips. She was a contract specialist, and she was in charge of moving $3 billion LNG facilities off the coast of Australia. So when I asked her, could you write a government contract for gloves, gowns, hand sanitizers, etc., she kind of laughed at me, and I said, no, that's legitimately what we need to do. And she's like, oh yeah, easy. So, we went straight into the market right before COVID, and we didn't really understand the monster that we were going to face. So the genesis of all this came from, looking at sam.gov and seeing what kind of Indian small business set-aside contracts there were. And we kind of found our niche within the PPE, Sanjan, and facility management contracts. And that's kind of where we began.
It's interesting. I tell everyone my boss is, or my wife is my boss at home. You're in the unique dynamic where she's your boss at home and at work. So the fact that you guys have a strong relationship is pretty remarkable to me.
It is. My mom and dad both ran their company together. Her parents ran their company together. My uncle, who we partnered with, Easy, he and his wife ran their company for 50 years. So all we knew was family business. When I was a kid, my dad gave me 3 rules. One was finish anything you start. 2, don't get married till you're 30. and 3, find a way to be your own boss. And I think I accomplished those things. And I found a lady in her that is as smart and brilliant as my mom and anyone else that we worked with.
That's amazing. Well, talk to me a little bit about how, as Warrior Outdoor built some of the partnerships you have, how did you go about developing those strategic partnerships and with the end goal of really empowering those tribal communities?
Yeah. So when we began, it was kind of, the Wild West, where you walk in and you say, do you have an Indian small business partnership or strategic partner? And, a lot of companies do have diversity partners, and I was a young, you know, ex-baseball player, and, I'd like to take him golfing and, show my other talents in the world. And they kind of opened the door to us and said, okay, if you can bring us government contracts, they're good as gold. And we'd love to help you if you can establish that relationship. So we started off kind of taking anything that came at us, and we'd look at all the contracts and we'd just go after anything we could. And then we realized that we found a couple partners that really understood what we were trying to accomplish, and it wasn't to check the box on their end, because there's a lot of companies these days and post COVID, during COVID, that really tried to take advantage of the small diverse companies in not great ways. So
Yeah.
we didn't want to allow people just to check boxes. We were ready to work. We were always there to kind of extend our capabilities within my sourcing and my wife Despina's global supply chain logistics contracts. And we built very tight relationships with a few manufacturers that were producing the products that we needed directly from Cambodia and Thailand and places
Wow.
that were TAA compliant, because even in a COVID world, there were still regulations. There were still, you got to be smart about where the product's coming in from. You need, chain of command, all the things. So we put our trust in them. They put their trust in us, and we came out on top with a good amount of strategic partners at the beginning, which now opens the doors to companies like HHS and companies like Advantis Health Partners. A big champion for us is Seth Wardell with Advanced Health Partners. He noticed us during the COVID pandemic, where he saw that we were getting things done, and a lot of the times, a lot of small businesses were taking on stuff that they could not handle and ended up being kind of pushed out of the government space. So
Yeah.
he brought us in as a strategic partner within Advanced Health Partners. And then now, that opens the door to HHS's, the GE Healthcare's, the Medlines, that now, Warrior can take on the knowledge and the outreach and the education is the biggest part for us. We love educating ourselves on, next level. This is what we're good at. This is what you're good at. How can we combine those two to give a full scope option for these tribal nations?
Yeah, that's fantastic. And the other thing that really resonates to me with Warrior Outdoor is, very similar to my organization. We really have this kind of common drive to tailor solutions to meet our customers' needs. Can you share an example of anything innovative in the healthcare world that Warrior Outdoor provides, and how they're tailored to meet kind of the unique needs?
Yeah. So as you can imagine, the Indian Health Services is a very logistical issue. There, some of these tribal nations are they're out in the middle of nowhere, and getting trucks in and out, and, technology updates, and creating opportunities for even within the tribes to provide education and training for some of these folks. We've worked closely with Advantis Health Partners and, of course, HHS, where we are offering solutions that will allow the issues with staffing at the moment, where there's not as many people cleaning, there's not many people servicing equipment, and companies like GE Healthcare are allowing us to offer the HTM program for technology management, where they take on the people within house to service these equipment. They also educate them, which will allow them to kind of move on with anything within the hospital that plugs into a wall on the electronic side.
Right.
So they'll be there to do any of the servicing, the replacing, or the updates that are needed. And we can offer that through our strategic partnership with Advanced Health Partners. And then going forward with HHS, we would love to put together our programs to further, building within the communities to keep the people, the hardworking people in their communities that really want to help and really want to be a part of their, the culture. Because a lot of people end up leaving these tribal nations, and some of the rituals and the culture leave with them, because you can look at the stats, the amount of indigenous people speaking their language is going down every year, and we would love to keep that culture inside these communities, build leadership management, and open their eyes to maybe some opportunities and some jobs that would normally not be on the first of their brain.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And hearing you talk in past conversations, it really is apparent to me that alignment between your organization and your partners seems to be really important value for you. When you're looking at who you partner with, because as you mentioned, a lot of folks like to partner and occasionally take advantage of small businesses. What do you really consider when selecting your partners, and how do you ensure it aligns with your mission and values?
Yeah, it goes right back to that same conversation. The last 4 years, we have met some of the worst people and some of the greatest people in business that I could ever imagine. And a lot of the
Hopefully, I
worst,
fit right in the middle. Do I fit right
yeah,
in the middle of that? Okay,
yeah,
good.
no, you guys pushed a little bit right. Um, but yeah, it was a confusing time. It was a very, dog eat dog, any opportunity. Oh, hey, I'm in the room. I'm in the deal. Um, I taught you that. You didn't know that before I met you. It just got really,
Yeah.
it got ugly. So, we learned that, character and the willingness to communicate and all that stuff, just kind of, we had to weed out a lot of people, because everyone wanted to be a part of this, diversity spend, and they wanted to check the box, and they wanted to say, hey, I work with these guys, and we did this, we did that. It's like, but in reality, Warrior has an opportunity to go after these Indian set aside contracts that other large corporations and non-diverse companies have no chance of going after. So where we go in, we say, okay, we're really good at these things, and we need to be better at these other ones. So we bring in strategic partners, or organizations that kind of can educate us as much as we can educate them on the tribal side, that there's a holistic response to what's needed. And that's kind of how we align ourselves now, is we vet through the people that do their job the best, that could teach us down the road, instead of saying, hey, either two things: get out of the way, we'll pay you at the end, or hey, you just go do it, and we'll figure it out at the end. It's like, I don't like either of them.
That's great. And it seems like you've got to have a pretty good relationship between your organization, the tribal communities, and also whether it's healthcare professionals or even on the gaming side. How do you really work through that and solicit feedback from all those entities and stakeholders in terms of the effectiveness of your services plus your partners?
Yeah, so within Indian Health Services and government in general, there's a scoring system. So
Mm.
for every contract you win, they're gonna give you a score based on your, communication skills, the product arriving on time, and the quality of the product. So luckily, we did all the things right, and our past performance speaks volumes for us, because we were founded and kind of came to be during the pandemic, and in the middle of ice storms, in the middle of just logistical nightmare, shortage of product. We were delivering millions and millions of units of product across the country. Despina was dealing with a lot of ice storms from New York all the way down to Oklahoma, where the National Distribution Center is, where we worked directly with contracting officers that ran this 1 million square foot facility that couldn't move stuff fast enough into it because it was going right back out the door to all these communities. So we we got some feedback too. It was a good story where we supplied a small amount of gowns for the beginning of the pandemic. And a couple of weeks later, they called back and said, "Hey, where did you get those gowns?" And we're like, "Well, we have manufacturing partnerships out of Cambodia, and do you need more?" And she was like, "Well, they're our nurses, doctors' favorites because it's middle of the summer now in Oklahoma. It's 100 degrees. It's humid. Your gowns are breathing. They have one size fits all. And these are things I did not know because I'm not a doctor, never been in the OR. So they said, I think we're going to need more." And I was like, "Okay, perfect. How many do you need?" And they're like, "Well, we need X amount of gowns." So I called our supplier and our partner, and he sent 56 truckloads of them. And Despina was not to be seen for 3 or 4 weeks because it was 3 a day. They could only take 3 a day, and it was every day for almost a month. And that was just for one SKU. And it was a huge reason why we still have relationships within those contracting officers, and they reach out to us with questions and possible opportunities for us to kind of get into different spaces.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was going to talk to you about any success stories that demonstrate your outcomes, but you kind of hit it on the head there. But
Yeah,
I'll leave it open. Is there any other ones you want to share? Or I mean, that one's pretty good.
yeah, that is probably our most claim to fame. But I think the feel good part for us, the contracting offices were, they were bogged down with the responsibility to run the entire, country.
Right.
And there was limited people. They were working from home. They had to take care of their kids, and they had to deal with people like us that were generally new to the game, but very open and honest with everything that we had and everything that we were trying to accomplish as a company. So as we succeed within their asking of us, those people also succeeded and are now moving up in management, and now they're working in the headquarters, and they have bigger opportunities in their own right, which was shown because they did such a great job during COVID, and we were just proud to be able to make their life a little bit easier every step of the way on our contracts. And again, I give that credit to Despina because she is a true professional. And to see people even in a powerful job like a contracting officer, to see them even succeed and move up because of
Yeah.
little things that small Indian company could do, I feel really good about that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The one thing that really resonates with me about your company is you're not always looking at like bottom line or what's in it for you. One of the things I cherish about Warrior Outdoor, it comes apparent where you're really looking to solve customers' challenges, whether that's through your organization or connecting dots with people out there. And so, man, I give you and Despina all the credit in the world for that because business isn't done like that often anymore. And so, just
No,
I think your customers see that. I think prospects and past customers see that, and I think it's a huge value out there in the industry today.
no, I
But
really
let's,
do
let's
appreciate it.
shift gears a little bit. Outside of Warrior Outdoor and what you guys do across the board, what are you really passionate about outside of work?
So I have this addiction to golf, and it's an open thing. I like to talk about it. I like to be about it. It's truly my escape from work. It's what's taken over my life since baseball, because baseball, I chased it for parts of 8 years, and if you wanted to talk about that, that'd take another 4 hours. But it's my competitive edge. It's my zen. I put some headphones on. I go out and I hit golf balls. I'll play golf as much as I can. But I've also been a part of youth baseball since I left high school. Even my dad and my former high school coach Tony Wiley started the Alaska Baseball Academy out of Alaska, and we basically took the best talent of the whole state, which is only 800,000 people. So just took one team, and we'd take them down to Scottsdale or Phoenix area. And that's kind of where I fell in love with Phoenix, because we come down here every October and play in national showcases. And they got hundreds of kids scholarships for anywhere from junior college to D1, D2, and like myself, got drafted out of high school with the option to go play professional. And it's a huge part of my life. So when I moved down here to Scottsdale, I started coaching at another school, Notre Dame Preparatory in Scottsdale. And it's kind of where I learned, how to work with kids, obviously, and in a different demographic. It also helped me, network with some of the parents to say, how did you get to where you're at? I can't be in baseball my whole life. I was still playing at the time. And that was 12 years ago. And I've kept those relationships. I've kept those, networking skills, and I've kind of moved those into my new world of business. And, that's kind of if I'm not at the golf course, I'm at the baseball field. And if I'm not that, I'm sitting here at the desk trying to grow.
What'd you top out on the radar gun?
100.7.
Well, I'm going to say it since you were nice enough not to. In the times we've played golf, you haven't only beat me, you've wiped the course with me. So I appreciate you not bringing it up. And since you didn't, I'll bring it up myself.
Yeah, so. This is a young friendship, but if we're ever out at dinner and someone asks a question, I'll have answers.
Perfect. Well, Chad, I really appreciate you coming on. I really enjoy working with you and your business partner / wife, Despina. It's been a pleasure, and really appreciate you coming on board and speaking to our audience here. And for those of you out there, if you have anything that you'd like to get in contact with Warrior Outdoor for, we'll put some information in the feed. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.